Hey everybody, what is going on? It is Rick and I'm here with the first half of May 2022 review video. 8 movies to talk about today, and I will say that the first 4 movies were all watched on an airplane. We downloaded a few Netflix movies onto my tablet to watch on the way there. On the way back, we actually were able to get our tablet to connect to the airplane's movie service. And we got to watch 2 Apple Plus films on the way back. So we're going to talk about a few Netflix movies, a few Apple Plus movies, then something we saw in theaters, and then a handful of stuff on Blu-ray, including something that I've already done a review video for on the channel, but I'll briefly mention my thoughts. So we're going to dive right in. The first thing that we watched in May was The Bubble on Netflix. This is a new Judd Apatow movie that came out in 2022. And this was probably the weakest of his films for me. Basically is a movie that takes place in a pandemic world. They're making a movie. It is about a bubble in a giant castle almost. They're making a movie. And the runtime is way too overlong. Lots of ideas that were just weird choices and not very funny. It almost felt like the movie was a bunch of skits that they put together as a film. Like I said, I want to say it was 2 hours or near 2 hours and did not need to be, which Judd Apatow has a tendency to make his movies way too long. The guy doesn't like to edit down, and he loves these 2 to 2.5 hour comedy films, and they should be an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. It's like he does not like to edit his movies at all. There are moments where I was laughing, but overall, compared to the rest of his filmography, this is the bottom of the barrel for me. So The Bubble gets a 2.5 out of 5. The next thing we watched on the plane via Netflix was Metal Lords, a 2022 movie, basically a coming-of-age movie about 2 friends who want to start a metal band, basically to form a metal band and participate in the Battle of the Bands. And the soundtrack in this movie is really awesome. There's some really fun cameos in this movie, especially as a rock fan, a metal fan. Like I said, the soundtrack is outstanding in the film. There's a lot of laughs in the movie. There's funny scenes. There's a girl who the one guy has a thing for and wants to have her be in the band, but she's like a band geek. I forget what instrument she plays. She plays, is it cello or violin? Anyway, she's funny because she's super vulgar, and like I said, he has a crush on her. And like I said, it's a coming-of-age movie mixed with a comedy, lots of great music. Like I said, it is a fun flick. So Metal Lords gets a 3.5 out of 5. Definitely one I'd recommend. Like I said, great soundtrack, some really fun rock and roll cameos in the movie. And then on the way back from vacation, we had access to American Air's movies that they have on their flights, and they had Apple Plus movies. So the first thing we watched was Coda, which was the Best Picture winner this year. The last of the Best Picture nominees that we had wanted to see. We don't really have interest in Drive My Car. So Coda was an absolutely fantastic film. My second favorite of the 9 Best Picture nominees from this year, falling behind Licorice Pizza for me personally. It's outstanding considering that the acting by the 4 leads is just, it was awesome. And, 3 of the 4 leads in the film are actual deaf actors. There's the gentleman who I believe won Best Supporting Actor who plays her dad, Troy Kotzer. Fantastic in this movie. Marlee Matlin, I believe is her name, was really good as the mom. And then, there's lots of things they do with the sound design. And there was laughs in the movie. There was a lot of heart to the movie. I really enjoyed Coda. I think it deserved the Best Picture. Meh. I really wanted Licorice Pizza to win, but I don't think that was ever going to happen. But Coda was a good second choice for me. I really, really enjoyed it. And Coda gets a 4 out of 5. Definitely glad I got to see that one. The other movie we watched on the plane ride on the way back was on Apple Plus, and that is Palmer, which starred Justin Timberlake. And it was cool to see some Apple Plus movies because I did not have the service. They'd been on my radar for quite some time on my to-watch list, so getting to see a few of the movies actually made me want to sign up for a trial, which we currently are doing. We have 4 months of Apple Plus. I've already watched multiple movies and a few shows on there. So Justin Timberlake is the lead in Palmer. Basically, a guy who's had some kind of issue, brush with the law, and is trying to better himself. He becomes involved in a friendship with a next door neighbor boy who seems a little different. And at first, Palmer kind of distances himself from this kid, but he befriends the kid, and he's bullied by kids and grown-ups, and he kind of is left. His mom is a drug user, and she just leaves him. So Palmer watches the boy and basically moves in with the boy and Palmer's mom. And the movie's predictable, but it still offers some heart and a good story. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. I gave Palmer a 3.5 out of 5. The next thing we watched was courtesy of Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. I did a review video on this channel about it, and that is the film Dog, which was co-directed by Channing Tatum and stars Channing Tatum. It's about an Army Ranger who's dealing with PTSD and some various injuries, some brain injuries, and he needs to take this dog who is part of his group, I don't want to say platoon, his squad, and has to bring him the dog, Lulu. It's probably a girl dog, actually. She's a military working dog. She also suffers from PTSD, and he has to transfer the dog to one of his squad mates' funerals. So it's a good movie. There's a lot of heart in it. Channing Tatum basically acts alongside a dog for the entire runtime. He does have interactions with other adults, but it's pretty much just him and the dog. And the movie gets a 3 out of 5. It's a good movie. I recommend checking it out if you have not seen it. It has heart to it. If you're a dog person, I think you'll enjoy the movie. So yeah, Dog. Next up, I got to show RJ for the first time ever Billy Madison, the movie that had me fall in love with Adam Sandler as a comedic actor. That movie came out when I was 11 years old. I watched it all the time when I was younger. I wore out my VHS tape. That and Happy Gilmore I watched on repeat over and over. I can still quote Billy Madison almost word for word. So I watched that movie a lot in my young teenage years. Between the ages of 12 and 15, I watched Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison quite a bit. It's a very quotable, mindless, but fun comedy movie. RJ was laughing out loud throughout. Bridget and I were trying not to quote along with it out loud. It's very hard for me, especially a movie like that I've seen so many times. But just a very fun movie. Billy Madison gets a 3.5 out of 5. A very fun watch for me. Finally, getting to show it to RJ was great too. The next thing we watched was Rocky IV on Blu-ray. Continuing with the Rocky movies, we were slowly getting through them. Every time RJ was here, we'd try to watch at least one, if not two. So I was curious to watch Rocky IV because of the ties to Creed II, which I had previously seen. Was hoping it would make Creed II more enjoyable when we got to the rewatch. And I will say that Rocky IV for me is the weakest of the first 4 Rocky films. It's a movie that struggles to reach a 90-minute runtime, and that's with this big, long Rocky III recap and way too many training montages and montages with Dolph Lundgren's character. I feel like this movie, if you didn't have the recap of Rocky III and you kept one training montage, the movie would have been about an hour long or maybe 65 minutes long. Like, they just really overdo the montages and the recaps. It's a shame too, because Ivan Drago is such a great villain, played by Dolph Lundgren, that they don't utilize him to his full potential. You have Brigitte Nielsen as his wife in the movie, who's supposed to be his mouthpiece, and it works for some things, but not for everything. And like I said, it is the weak point of the franchise so far. The Rocky movies have a really good job at pulling at your heartstrings, showing Rocky as the underdog, and, you know, fighting or going through stuff to try to come out on top. So they definitely have that formula down pat, but Rocky 4 gets a 3 out of 5 for me. The weakest so far of the Rocky franchise, until we talk about 5. And then the last thing we watched, the first half of May, was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Went into this flick pretty excited. For me, 3 of the last 4 MCU movies prior to this have been okay, nothing fantastic. Definitely not upper level MCU. Definitely not bottom level of MCU, like lower middle. Except for Spider-Man No Way Home, which was outstanding. And this movie went in with high hopes, and those hopes got dashed incredibly fast. There was a lot of overuse to one of my least favorite characters in the MCU, and that is Wanda. I'm not a big fan of Wanda. I'm not a big fan of Vision either. WandaVision to me was a show that was very overhyped. I think it came out at a time where we didn't have a new Marvel thing for so long, and we were getting 2-3 movies a year. Everybody made WandaVision out to be this amazing show, and for me, it wasn't an amazing show. It was an okay show. But I'm not a big fan of Wanda, which could contribute to my feelings on that. And this movie was essentially a Wanda film just as much as it was a Doctor Strange movie. So that really hurt my enjoyment of it. There's a particular scene in the movie that I really enjoyed. It was a very fun scene. But other than that, this is a bottom 3 MCU movie for me. This goes down with Thor and Thor Dark World in my bottom 3 MCU movies. I'm super fired up as of the recording of this. This weekend is Thor Love and Thunder. Cannot wait to see that. Super excited for that. I loved Ragnarok. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. Those 3 movies are 3 of my top 5 or 6 MCU movies. Not super excited for Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever, but I'm very excited for Guardians 3 and Ant-Man Quantumania. So I'm hoping the next 4 MCU movies kind of break me out of this slump I'm going through. Was not a fan of Black Widow. I enjoyed Eternals and Shang-Chi. I loved Spider-Man No Way Home. The multiverse was used basically as a plot device in this film, and I don't think they used it very well. I wish it would have been better utilized, in my opinion. But like I said, it was okay. It was still a decent MCU movie, but a bottom tier MCU movie. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness gets a 3 out of 5 for me. Like I said, was not a big fan personally. Too much Wanda for me. So that is it, guys. That is everything we watched the first half of May 2022. Thank you for watching as always. Be sure to check out the description box down below where you can find links to all my socials, as well as my Blu-ray.com profile, Letterboxd where I rate and review all the movies I watch, my eBay store, Amazon wishlist, email address, P.O. Box. All can be found down below. So thank you for watching, guys. Until next time, who's down to movie?